broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
I keep picking at the herb with my worn-out shoe.
So what is that? Is that like, because we're out in the woods, it's like those little electric lights?
No.
Oh, okay.
I was just filling the buzz.
I just want to let this music sink in, but if you want to do sound effects like we're in the woods, that's fine. This is Noel Gunderson, Just Want to Be a Man, and hello and welcome to the following after show here on AfterBuzz. This was an awesome song. We all loved it when they played it at the end of this episode called Reunion, so we had to play it. And for some reason, Micheal Drew, you seem to think this would go good in a Disney movie?
No, just the title. The title. What's the title of the song?
Just Want to Be a Man.
I Just Want to Be a Man. It's very like, you ever seen Mulan where they said something, I'm going to make you a
like
man?
Simba.
Something, yeah, exactly.
Man,
With
okay.
father issues.
All right, see, so yeah, so
Pegah understands.
So Disney fan Micheal Drew is next to me, and across from me, the lovely Pegah Rad.
Hi, everybody.
And of course, Sean Overman taking the end table here. If you're watching us live on YouTube, you can tweet all of us. In fact, our hashtags. If you're watching us on YouTube, we're streaming right now live on YouTube and on AfterBuzzTV.com. You can tweet at us at our respective Twitter handles. You can join in the conversation at ABTV #ABTV following, and yeah, you can chat right now. There's a bunch of people online chatting. Maybe we'll do a little shout out to you guys. But anyway, let's talk about the show, because I'm loving this season. I'm loving what's going on. What were your impressions? I mean, this is coming out of a really big 2-hour episode that we saw last week. So what do you guys think of this show, this episode?
I'm gonna have to co-sign what you said previously about it. There being a lot of WTF moments. Like, there were a lot of good moments in this episode, but there were a lot of moments where I was just like, I don't know. It kind of left me wanting. You know, but I enjoyed the episode. I thought the ending, the finale to this episode was really good. It put me on my butt cheeks.
Yeah.
You know, it threw me in my.
It kept you in your seat.
It kept me in my. Really, it threw me. I stood up and I fell. I fell down. I was like, oh. Right on my butt cheeks.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, everything was just too, like, clockwork in this episode. It was just, like, working. Everything they wanted was, like, happening, and it was working, and it was like, bam, we got this, we got it.
Really?
I wanted a little bit more conflict. I wanted to be on the edge of my seat a little bit more. I wanted more Joe Carroll.
His moments were good, though.
You got more Joe Carroll than any other time this season
He's like
so far.
an overly attached girlfriend. He really is.
I was laughing at almost every line that Joe was saying.
Yeah.
He is amazing. Just every word that comes out of that guy's mouth is just magic.
It's the way James Purefoy plays that character. I think is delicious. I as I said, I love this episode. I can understand. You know, we'll talk about the WTF moments. There are a couple. It's the same stuff though. You know, so I think the writers know, but they're like, this is how we're gonna have the FBI operate.
Yeah.
So I think at this point it's like, okay, you know what? Yeah, we can call task forces out in the middle of the woods, but no, it's going to be Joe, Mike, and a third person and a deputy or whatever. But I love this episode. I think especially coming off of a high off the last week's 2-hour episode, it was nice to see a new change. The name of this episode is Reunion, so of course I think that comes to play with, first of all, the first thing I think of is Joe Carroll. It's a reunion between Ryan Hardy and Joe Carroll, and then second we'll talk about Theo's reunion with Strauss, which is a very different type of reunion. But let's talk.
And Strauss with his students.
Exactly.
Strauss with this student, yeah, with Theo.
Yeah.
Theo, Daisy, Duncan.
I guess that's true. Duncan, a big family, a big student reunion, class reunion. But let's start off with Pegah's favorite subject, and then she'll just doze off for the rest of the show.
Until we talk about him again.
Until we talk about him
the
again.
end.
Let's talk about Joe Carroll. I mean, here we go. We see this beautiful scene. I miss these scenes, from season 1. In fact, when Joe Carroll was in custody, the first half of season 1. And let's talk about this because it's a beautiful thing to see James Purefoy and Kevin Bacon playing these roles in this situation.
He's so attentive to how Ryan looks. Like there's a lightness about you. Are you in love?
He reads them so well.
Yeah, but I thought that was interesting when he said, "When I die, you die." I mean, obviously he has this really strong connection with Ryan.
That was creepy.
He's the yin to his yang.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have this.
There are two sides.
You don't think? Well, of course, Ryan doesn't want that. We saw what he did afterwards. He just puked.
I was thinking that the reason he puked when he ran out was because he is like in his mind he knows he's the yin to his yang, and he's just like, and now he's just like, oh my god, I can't live without him. That was my theory.
He needs to get liquored up again.
Yeah,
You complete me.
Well, I definitely we can bring this up a little bit in a second, but the fact that he's like, oh, I see you're off the wagon. You're handling yourself well. Are you in love? I can't help but wonder if people have been feeding Joe Carroll this information.
That's exactly right.
So I can't help but think that he's had other visitors that have clued him in on this.
Is he allowed other visitors?
That's a good question. I mean, we don't know.
Maximum security.
Or she's maximum security.
Or she's on death row.
Hey,
you are allowed people to visit you because that would be cruel and unusual punishment.
Well, he
if you
does-
can't have them.
He's a murderer.
Don't forget the first follower we saw in season 1 was one of the guards in the maximum security prison.
Yeah.
So who knows, who he has to feed him information. So
I was gonna say that it could be his girlfriend.
could be.
She's secretly
Oh
a
my
follower.
God.
The doctor's
That's
aware.
I was kind of going to lead into that, but yes,
Okay, sorry.
absolutely. No, it's
Sorry,
good.
Nando.
No, it's cool. No, I think it was. I think I led it pretty well to say it might be
Yeah.
Gwen. So yeah, we're going to talk a little bit more about Gwen, but I think that's a really awesome point because the liquor got brought back into the house by Gwen, and Carol's like, I see you're off the wagon, and I feel like it's a dig.
Oh my gosh, I did not think about
and
that.
everything she was saying this episode.
And well, yeah,
We're gonna talk about more.
let's talk about Gwen because we're getting into Gwen anyway.
Okay.
Gwen was very and really Gwen's moments were I think interesting, but that weren't really crucial to the rest of the episode. Gwen was asking for a lot of information. Again, no secrets.
Yeah.
What are you doing, Ryan?
Yes.
Tell me what's going on in here. Tell me. What's with the hacker and the ID stuff?
Yeah.
They were focusing on her in a very different way this time. I don't know why. I just got a little different feel. Like they want us to, like what she said when she went to go visit Max. She said something like, "Oh, it's always the quiet ones that you need to watch out for," or something.
That was
I
weird,
like,
wasn't it? That one was weird
yeah.
too.
Is she like foreshadowing something?
Or maybe it's like they're doing it too obviously, where they're gonna throw us off.
I could see that too.
I could see the writers doing that to us.
Well, what's interesting, I think, too, is that, okay, look, you have a girlfriend, and she wants no secrets between us. She wants everything to be up and up, okay? Now, I think there's a difference between talking about the job and talking about a case the specific way that he was talking about the case.
When she was asking about it, I wrote here and then with exclamation points. Be single, Ryan. Be single. This is why Batman has no relationships. Why he's not. Why he's like.
He's talking about. Well, we have an email hacker, and we got this, and we got that. We're looking for the person who did, and it's like, whoa, wait a second here. This is like need to know information. This is like.
Yeah.
And I see you redecorated. Can I take a? He was like blocking her at first, so she wouldn't get in and see all the people he posted up who he's searching for. But she went in there. She practically forced her way in.
Yeah.
You know what would be crazy? If she was a follower, but Ryan knows she's a follower, and he's setting her up because of his prior experience. Like he's pulling a double swerve.
That would be too crazy meta.
Because he's been through so much. In my mind, if she's asking, if you're Ryan, how could you not be thinking this.
But if she's a follower, that means she could kill at any moment too. Probably. I mean, not that Ryan's expected to be killed because they want to keep him alive. They always seem to want to keep him alive for some purpose.
It's like everyone's a turncoat. She's asking you all these questions. How do you not?
I don't know. I mean, he's in love. Like when you're in love, you're just kind of
be
like.
single, Ryan.
I'm in love with a
hashtag be single, Ryan.
Hashtag be single.
Be single. Batman has no girlfriend.
But
Batman does have a girlfriend. It's Catwoman, and she's a criminal.
Not dating, though.
But she's a criminal. Gwen's a criminal. Gwen's a
opposites
follower.
attract. I don't know, but even she was even asking Max for information, and Max almost spilled the beans about her sleeping with Mike. So yeah, she's just getting in everybody's grill. she's trying to get as much information as possible. And I'm sorry, somebody, I know you have the shout outs later, but somebody last week I think said it's just too obvious that Gwen would be a follower at this point, the way she's acting. But I think it's like you're really the writers are really throwing everything at us with this girl, and it's like you are at the very least you want to know too much for a girlfriend. At the very least, it's not.
I've had some girlfriends that felt that way too.
Just a little. I want to be included on everything. I don't know. It just a little bit like, okay, this is a weird relationship at the very least.
And like she's a doctor, right? Don't doctors have like long hours? I mean, she's like always around.
But shouldn't doctors understand
I'm bored. What are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm bored. What are you doing? What do you want to do? What are you doing?
Be at the ER saving someone.
I know, right? Yeah, that's true.
Well, look what Dr. Strauss was doing. He was working and he was killing on the side.
I like the way you try to move that along to Dr. Strauss. Check that out. But let's talk a little more before we get into Theo and Strauss, because that's all awesome stuff. But let's just see where the FBI is at. So we definitely saw Max get a beating last week by Daisy. So we see that she's okay. I predicted she'd be incapacitated for an episode. That was wrong. She's not on duty, but she's resting. We see her.
Yeah.
But Tom's with her.
Yes.
And what were we going to say, Pegah?
I was just going to say, Gina. We're going to talk about her.
That's
right?
the one. Yeah, that's the one I'm surprised. Like, we see Max, but we don't see Gina because she's suspended.
Just because the FBI had to blame
Fall guy.
it on
They needed
somebody?
a fall guy.
That's so rude.
Well, I thought it was. I will say this. This was a weird moment for me. I replayed it a couple of times because I just didn't believe it. Mm-hmm. It was like in the beginning, at least, it was such a throwaway line when Ryan was giving Max the recap and was like, "Well, it turns out the email was fake." There were like 3 times last week where they said, "There's no way this email could be hacked. No way at all." And all of a sudden, he just throws it like, "Oh yeah, we were hacked. We were hacked.
Fake.
Yeah.
We were hacked." I thought that was a little. I thought that was a little clunky.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah,
I mean, you just wanted to throw it in.
You believed it.
I believed that it was fake. I believed it last week that it was fake.
Yeah, because
the whole Clark, he felt like it didn't sound like Clark's wording, his verbiage in the email, so it could not have been him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you called it, so absolutely. So we find out that there's a hacker or a mole, but we discover it's a hacker, really.
It's a really good serial killer hacker.
And oh my God, let's without moving too forward in plot. What do you think of Michael Ealy as Theo? Holy crap!
I like it. I see the freakiness. I mean, I haven't seen him in too many other things, so I don't have that. Like you guys are saying, like you can't, you don't buy him as a mean guy.
I've seen him as too much as the good-looking, good boyfriend. So that when I'm seeing him in this, I'm like, all right. I'm still not afraid of him.
Yeah.
See,
but maybe it's because I've seen him so much.
I saw him in one film. I forgot. I think it was directed by Spike Lee, and it was like a World War II movie about black soldiers.
Oh,
he was a scoundrel there.
Yeah.
So I could see him. Yeah. So I could see him being. It is completely different.
But he has played some really good. I guess I'll say heroic characters or good-natured characters. Yeah. I mean, almost what was the last Fox show he was on? It was almost
he played like the robot.
Almost human, the robot. Yeah. He was great in that. He's a really good quality actor, but he's super creepy here.
Yeah, he's super creepy. But then when he goes home to his wife and kids, I saw him as the loving husband too. I bought it both.
But that's another reason why he's such a great actor, because we're so used to seeing him as a good guy role, and here he is. And meanwhile, he's like, well, I'm a good guy. I present this life. Kind of like Daisy and Kyle's house. It's like this perfect house, but he has another side. Creepy.
It was his dreadlocks made. That's when he was creepy to me, when he had the dreadlocks. When he took the dreadlocks out, I was like, come on, man, he's too sexy. Come on, this guy's too good looking.
Wait, did he end up torching that guy's face?
Probably.
He probably torched his whole body.
Yeah, I mean, we never saw. That was Strauss's
Rhodes.
lawyer. That was Strauss's lawyer.
Why did he kill
Counselor
him?
Rhodes.
Why did he kill him?
Because he was a loose end.
Yeah.
He knows about Strauss.
Probably because of the loose
These
end.
killers are talented. It's like he's a master killer and a master hacker. All this multi-dimensional.
Well, that's what's brilliant about Strauss, I think, in the sense that, he was just a character that was supposed to be Joe Carroll's mentor, and Joe Carroll was supposed to be like the very, tip, of this whole thing, the very, like the pinnacle.
Yeah.
But it turns out it's not really the pinnacle. He's just the tip of the iceberg, but there's so much underneath. And that starts with Strauss and his students. And we see that, with Theo, and we see that a little bit with Daisy and Kyle and Andrew a little bit, and then even with Duncan, which we'll get into. But I'm loving Theo. I'm loving this new blood. I mean, one thing that we also heard was, Mark may be dead, which we know he's not.
He's a cockroach.
He couldn't survive that jump from the boat to the water, but we all know, and Ryan Hardy knows that too. So Sam Underwood gets to take a break for a little while. Both of him, both of his paychecks, and which is good too, because I think it kind of gets Mike back on track. We see the bickering between Mike and Ryan over last week, and a little bit with Ryan and not Ryan, with Max and Mike as well. Yeah. So anyway, let's talk about. Well, we're talking a little bit about Theo, but let's talk about this whole. Let's talk about. I guess it's. I want to say it's like the procedural part, just the hunt for Strauss over at Beacon.
Goodness, yeah.
Because I think that, again, I'm loving all this. There were some really cool twists and turns. What do you guys think about Beacon?
I mean, it was cool that Ryan took kind of Gina's place while she was, even though like the new head wasn't named, he kind of went in there and took the reins on what everybody should be doing. And so they looked up the database of all these victims that were missing, like these cold cases, and then they narrowed them down to like 2 hours away. Is that how they?
Yeah. Well, they first looked for murders, like I guess unsolved murders, but then
they couldn't find any, so they went for missing persons.
Because Ryan said Strauss's students were too smart to just kill people and let them be discovered. So they did missing persons, and then from that they looked for a region where they all came from, and
that was Beacon.
And that was Beacon. So
that sheriff boy, he's dumb as bricks. That shit, when I was on the show, I was like, this is an inept sheriff. This guy is just like, he got everything wrong.
Well, he had a secret. I mean, he had a secret, which was his son.
Yeah, he even had his son wrong. He didn't have anything.
Wait, you think
wrong.
he knew about his son?
I think he. Well, I don't know if he knew about his son, but there was something weird about it. I mean, the deputy even said like he's protecting his son because his son's erratic. So I guess if anything, this is my town. He's the local. He's the local force. This is my town, and you can't just come in here with your FBI and start waving your badges and start
You gotta
doing.
earn it.
I know.
You gotta earn it.
That's an upstate New York accent, by the way. Yeah, it's totally up. No, it's not.
He was acting shady though from the moment Ryan got there. So for a second, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Is he a follower?
I didn't trust the deputy too either. She was just a little too. She was cute, but she was a little too eager.
Yeah, Allison Mack from Smallville, and it's good to see her. And the guy who plays Mike is Bobby Drake he's Iceman in X-Men. So you got two comic book characters. Little movies inside the. It's nice to see.
Yeah, nice to see.
I want to call out FBI WTF going into the bus that had the meth in it. Wouldn't they smell the fumes and be like, "Whoa, that's meth"? We've been trained to like watch out for meth labs. This thing's gonna blow. Why are we gonna go in there?
Maybe the FBI doesn't do that. Maybe they're just so used to bodies. I don't know.
They should. No, I mean their department's obviously hunting serial killers, not meth labs. But yeah, I would think that if something smells funny, you don't necessarily just go right in. Maybe I don't know.
They would pass out from the damn fumes.
I think going in the middle of the night to out in the woods like that with no backup is enough of a WTF. Much less going into. I mean, obviously going into that bus is worse. But I'm just saying that whole bit was a bit of a WTF anyway.
It would have been great if afterwards he was like, so that's what meth smells like. Well, now we're aware.
And then the sheriff coming obviously was really scary because they didn't expect anybody else. So of course, except the deputy calls the sheriff, and that was another little moment right there. And turns out, his secret was that his son was a schmuck.
He's not smart enough to be one of Strauss's students.
So yeah, just get him out of here.
I love that. But it was a nice little twist in a way because we saw Justin dressed with that mask that looked very similar to one of Theo's masks, and he ended up accidentally or whatever leading Ryan and Mike and the deputy to this weird doll talisman, really demented, like I don't know if they were wind chimes, talisman. They called it a talisman, and it was a burial ground.
What was Ryan's excuse for wearing that? To scare the hikers off or something?
Yeah,
Like,
it was to scare off the hikers.
Scare the hikers off.
Yeah, that's what Justin said. He wanted to scare the hikers away from his meth lab in the bus.
From the meth lab. But I would think that, maybe Justin's too high on meth to realize that he was next to a burial ground. I don't know.
How coincidental was it that the talisman was right over the burial ground?
Well, I think that's where the talisman was there, right?
Yeah, I think that was there for the burial ground. I mean, that's obviously, one thing we know about serial killers, they like to have a little flair. They like to have their own little quirks, I guess. And
Wait, the dolls were there?
Yeah.
So they weren't Justin's dolls?
They weren't Justin's.
No,
they weren't Justin's dolls.
I don't think he doesn't seem like the type to put that up, though.
See?
I don't think those were Justin's dolls. They had to be Duncan's dolls. That's just too weird. Yeah, that was just too weird.
Meth in my toy baby.
All the dolls did have a blade shoved through their chest area.
Okay.
And that's the method he used to extract
The heart. Okay, good eye on that.
He was putting some iron piping or something to take the heart out.
Wait, so what is Justin trying to get the hikers to go away from?
From the meth lab.
Oh, come on.
That's it. That's the meth lab.
He's all meth. He's not thinking. Remember, he's not smart enough to do any of it.
He's not smart.
Okay.
Or maybe the babies are thinking the heart to signify the heartburn meth does. So maybe it is. I don't know.
The heartburn?
I don't know.
Maybe Ryan Hardy knows that Justin's a follower and he let him go just to wait. No,
He's 3 steps ahead.
no. I don't know. But
We have very talented serial killers. We got Strauss, who's a psychiatrist, pharmacist. It looks like.
Yeah.
We have Mark, who's a sniper, and we got Duncan, who's a diner owner in a small town. He's a business owner. He's an entrepreneur.
that is
He's
weird.
an awesome cook too, because they loved his bacon. Remember?
Yes, that's right. See, he's a really good cook.
I know. They're also
A great cook
good
and
at
an
2
entrepreneur.
things. They're good at killing and whatever their second craft is. I'm barely good at one.
Whatever the second graph is. Well, that's good. Well, yeah. So let's talk a little bit just about Duncan, because I thought that was interesting. That's part of the town, really. He's the local diner owner, and he's related to the deputy that's helping out, Allison Mack's character. And her parents died, so he ended up taking care of her. Just nice guy, we kind of think. And big shocker to see that he was, he's housing Strauss, and that he was the one responsible. I mean, we all thought, I'm guessing, that Theo was behind this, but it was really this guy Duncan. So crazy.
I thought that was a good bait and switch. They kind of threw me off.
was.
I was fully expecting Theo to come in. They just see Duncan. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Touche.
no,
We
well
all
done.
even know who Duncan was. Like, who is that guy? Who is that? Oh, the waiter. Okay.
You know what was funky about that though is when they were all in the diner. I think the FBI was there with the deputy. They were having coffee or food or something, right? We have Duncan come in. I think he leaves, and she says, "Oh yeah, that's my uncle. He owns a place." And then we have a redhead woman come in, and I thought that was his wife, but maybe I guess it was just a waitress.
Yeah, just a waitress.
I thought it was his wife too, and
See,
you
that's
even
why I
said
got so confused.
Well, when we heard the first victim ended up being his wife, we thought maybe it was
He
his
remarried.
first wife. You said maybe
Yeah.
his first wife, but I don't know. That was a little confusing too. I guess it was just a waitress. It's a diner, and obviously the waitresses usually in a diner, I think they know it's a small town.
Yeah, it's
Everyone
small town.
knows each other, and everyone's very friendly. So I guess that's what it is.
Quick question on Duncan.
Yeah.
It didn't. To me, the thing that I didn't really like was when he finally reveals himself to his niece, and it becomes so like black and white. There's no remorse. Even though he was raising her since a child, all of a sudden just like, yeah, I made your mom squeal. It was just too sudden for me.
Okay, that's fair
yeah.
enough.
That's true.
That's fair
I mean,
enough.
he took care of her.
That's what he was referring to.
Yeah.
He was referring like a squealer, like he gutted her and she was
Yeah.
squealing.
Because the deputy
I was
asked.
thinking that she was a squealer, like she was ratting out on people,
Yeah.
and that's why he had to kill her.
No,
Like they had
no.
a great relationship their whole life. You just found out I'm a killer, and now I'm just like, yeah, I did it, and I hate you too. Like it just. Wow.
Well,
it makes no. I mean,
Here's what I've noticed, at least from this show, know in particular about the killers that Joe ends up, the followers in particular, they have these double lives, and really it's, with the exception of Daisy and Kyle, they seem to really want their life back at home. A couple episodes, the way they were like really scared about losing that. Everyone else seems like their real identity is the darker side, and if they're about to be exposed or whatever, they will do whatever they have to do. They will like abandon ship, and they will throw whatever they need to throw overboard, literally and figuratively, to stay alive. And I think that was his cover. He was the nice uncle.
But it's like every other killer, when he has like the other killer who had the father, he was still kind of remorseful towards his father, or toward even Joe Carroll towards his wife, or even at the end you see Michael Ealy going towards his family. If he was with his daughter, his niece for his whole life, when he just suddenly made the turn, it just felt, I don't know, it just felt like it was a WTF moment for me.
I think Theo. Too sudden for me. I think if Theo was up against Ryan Hardy and he had his kids and his wife there, he would kill his wife and kids. I think Theo would. I honestly do.
I think he shed a tear. I think there'd be at least a remorseful. He wouldn't be like, ugh.
He's Strauss's best student.
Are psychopaths.
Yeah, but it's too black and white for me. Like, even if he's a psychopath, there's still got to be some. There's got to be some three-dimensionalism.
Or like they could just turn it on and off.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's a different psychosis. I think I get what you're saying about.
Because if they lived together his whole life, her whole life.
Yeah.
She didn't like, if she at least said, I don't trust my uncle, he's kind of crazy, but I love him, he always takes care of me, then out of nowhere he just switches it.
Well, what do you guys think on YouTube? What do you guys think on Twitter about this? I think it's a good question. Do you want to side with Michael? Do you think it was weird that Duncan was just so easily willing to kill his niece to protect himself and to protect Strauss?
I mean, not even that he was willing to kill her, but just like a little, even when he admitted to killing the mother, at least some like, I had to do it, but I still, you're still my niece.
That would be a normal person. That would be a normal person.
Well, no, what about the guy who put his father in the box? He felt bad about his father. He wasn't just like, oh, kill my dad, threw him off the roof. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
I think that's a different. I don't know. It's just a different type of.
Yeah, I get you.
And I don't think that guy was a serial killer in the same way everyone else is. He's like an artist, and he definitely does some stuff. But I don't know.
It's just the whole raising her his whole life. Like she would have, if they would have indicated that her relationship with him was a little off. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if they had a relationship their whole life. Maybe.
I get you.
Here's what I think. I think there's not enough time in the show with all the damn characters to explore him, so they just wrote him out.
That's what I'm thinking too.
He gets arrested.
Hey, and shout out to Mika and Scotty B in the chat room, by the way, who were chatting. Thank you so much. Well, Mika, just to go back to what we were talking about earlier, Mika said, I totally think Gwen is a follower. She's so concerned with knowing everything about his job. That's just not normal. See, I agree. I totally agree with that. And then Scotty B with lots of comments here. He loved the deputy. Hope she's around for a while.
I don't think they're going back to Beacon anytime soon.
Yeah.
They're done.
And Scotty doesn't think Gwen's a follower, but he does think there's more to her story that hasn't been revealed. I think that's, at the very least, I think that's incredibly fair to say.
Maybe when Max dies this season, then the deputy can take her spot.
Come on, stop that.
She could get into the FBI Academy.
Well, don't forget, it took Max a while to get into the FBI. Max last season was in the NYPD and wanted to be in the FBI, but it took her a while to get in. So I think this deputy, we don't even know her name. We keep calling her the deputy, which sucks. I haven't looked at IMDb. I'm sure maybe they have a real name for her, but no, I haven't heard her name once. So we know her uncle's name. We don't know her name.
Yeah.
But
I want to say
Deputy Mac. Her name's Allison Mac.
I wanted to say Deputy Marsh because she helped them find the body in the marsh.
Okay, we'll stick to deputy.
We'll just stick to the deputy.
So they dig up the bodies, right?
Yeah.
And then they get the medical examiner to come in, and she says that all of them their hearts were taken out.
Yes.
Very, meticulously. Yeah. Except for one. Mm-hmm. And then So they figured out that the one was a practice model. It was probably this killer's, the Genesis killer. Yeah, the Genesis death. So I think what their mentality was, or their strategy was, that since he was practicing on this one, he was probably more careless with this one. The killer was more careless as opposed to the others. He hasn't perfected his craft yet, and there's probably other clues, and maybe even there was a connection that they could find once they got the ID. It was a personal kill. Which
and additionally, the Emmy also revealed that that he had taken off the fingers and teeth years after it was killed. They're all way post-mortem.
Which shows he was practicing with the girl, and then he realized, I need to not get caught. So this is how I don't get caught.
So it was like post-Strauss. When he met Strauss, he went back and got rid of the fingers, the teeth.
He learned how to cover his tracks on that. So, because I mean, even when we saw Duncan with Strauss, he said, when Duncan was all nervous. Because Duncan realized they might find my wife. Strauss was like, if I taught you, you know how to hide the bodies. You know how to take care of yourself. So,
but then how did they find out that it was his wife? If there's no teeth?
They ID'd her.
That is kind of like what they ID'd her.
How did
DNA, teeth, fingers are all gone.
Probably DNA.
The DNA, but how would you be able to tell without a sample? They would have to have a sample to compare it to.
We just watched a show and we watched it a day late. Sorry, we just watched a show, so I'm not sure. We might have missed over that little spot, but they did. Were able to figure it out. But
they compared it to the deputy. They're like, oh hey, are you related to any of these bodies?
Yeah, right.
You got mitochondrial DNA in you. Okay.
I guess the one thing I would say. If we didn't catch that, and I know the internet, I know you'll call us out on it because then we missed it. But at the very least, we can probably assume that he was still careless with that kill.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was.
At the very least, he was careless with that kill, and they were able to find a way to ID her that was separate than the others. So I think that's easy enough to say. But look, Duncan is a very interesting character. I love the way he turned. I know you hated to see that sad side of him, but he was very creepy. He was really, really, really creepy in the end. He had a really good duality about him, and I did not get a chance to look up the actor, but he was really, really good. We'll pull it out for next week because it looks like he's back.
He is back. How does he escape?
He's gonna get busted up by Theo.
So
Theo.
He's gonna have a way bigger role now.
Yeah. So let's talk about Theo actually. Okay. So let's talk a little bit more about him because we got to see some backstory with him too, and how he met Strauss.
So 13 years ago, he just started killing on his own.
Yes.
And then
he randomly walks into Strauss.
Yeah, so first...
What a fate brought them together.
I know.
First he goes and he finds that guy that he was chatting with online.
Yes.
And what did he say? Like his name was like Charles 1988 or whatever.
Yeah.
So he
They're just hanging out online.
Ties him up. But then we see him go and shoot those people, and then we see him again. So I'm just trying to figure out the timing of all that.
Yeah. I think it was in order. I think the flashbacks were in order. His plan was to take that guy's plan and use it and pin it on him.
Okay.
Because he's a ghost. Remember, they kept saying that Theo, we know the character's name is Theo. Theo is a ghost. Mm-hmm. So, so that was a way to kill people and not get blamed for it.
Yeah, so he was already going to kill the person. He was already going to do a mass murdering. I guess he was talking about it online. So he hacked his way to find him where he is and then kidnapped him, did his plan for him, and then blamed him.
He gets injured. He ends up getting into like a veterinarian clinic, a pharmacy, some random place.
Yeah, I don't know where that place was.
The back of a CVS.
But Strauss was there, so
what are the odds? He finds the killing god.
Interesting.
He finds the Lord of Murder right there waiting for him.
But something about look, it's really weird. We've seen Joe Carroll do this in a couple of flashbacks from the first couple of seasons. To see him training his followers and that teacher-student, relationship, and it was really interesting to see when he brought him back to that first guy's house.
Yes.
And was like, show me how you're going to kill him and
that was creepy.
That was.
What do you prefer? You like strangulation? You want to shoot him?
Yeah.
And then he went and he described, but I want to master everything.
That was a terrible
but he
scene.
had a reason for each one, like the sound of the flesh with the knife.
Was too much.
The intimacy of the strangulation.
Yes, and the gunshot.
Strauss he's looked so creepy in that with the way Strauss, how excited he got. I was like,
it kind of in a weird way reminded me, the way he spoke about it reminded me of Joe Carroll trying to be a writer, the prolific writer, and talking about death the way as an art. The way he was
Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah, like his whole fascination with Edgar Allan Poe, but just like the way he said, "Oh, I could shoot him," or with the muffled, whatever, and then or just the sound of the blade, the way he was talking, the alliteration. He could be a writer, not just a hacker. He could be a writer too.
Joe Carroll's the author. Theo's the ghostwriter.
Oh.
Wouldn't that be funny if that came into play somehow? Like, Theo's a better writer than you. Not only is he a better student, he's a better writer than you, Joe Carroll.
They find his journals.
I know, he is a
Show him the Joe.
And he makes millions of dollars off his journals. They're just like half-ass written. That would be amazing. But I think one thing we need to keep in mind about Theo before we talk about what he did to Strauss is and what makes him really, really dangerous is, this guy is he's a very technically proficient person. And we saw that scene when he was changing cars. He can just move surveillance videos. You saw what he did with the lawyer. That was pretty creepy, that whole scene, getting the lawyer down to the basement and sending a photo of himself to his phone.
That was a little extra. The photo, I was like, come on.
That was
Beamed it to his phone. How could it get through all that thick cement?
If there's one serial killer that probably has the Apple Watch before it comes out, it would probably be Theo.
It's Theo. He probably made it.
He probably made it.
I put it together.
But so this guy's a ghost, and that's one of the things also that Strauss loves about him. And we see at the very end that the end of the flashback. What is it that Theo says? Oh, I'll pay you back one day. Thank you so much. It was something like that. And we see the result of that in his reunion with Strauss, which was really, really interesting.
Totally unexpected.
Yeah.
That was. They built it to a point that you thought he was gonna season finale at least.
That's what I predicted. I thought he'd be the main villain, and that maybe Theo would be one of his major soldiers. But
so if we were to prioritize what Theo cares about the most, is what his what
he cares about himself.
I think his family. Now I'm gonna say what I think. That's why he got rid of Strauss, because since Strauss was almost exposed him, he's gonna ruin the life that he's built for himself, because he doesn't want his family to find out. He doesn't want to lose his family, so he had to get rid of his mentor because he was gonna expose him.
Well, I want to say Mika agrees with you, because Mika was saying how she doesn't think that Theo's family's a cover. That I lost it here, but I saw she was like, no, he cares about his family. So she agrees with you there.
Tweet me.
I think he loves his family too.
Even
just
though
the way with his kids.
He did seem genuinely happy, but then again, he's a psychopath. He's got to be mirroring human emotions so that he can blend in with everybody else, right? He needs to stay under the water. I'm seeing a lot of similarities between him and Dexter. Right, because from the Showtime show, Dexter.
I never saw that show, so
what?
Yeah, I need to watch it.
Even though he probably is using them as a cover, he is going to develop. He's probably developed love for them for the years. He has 2 kids with this woman.
Yeah,
right?
Maybe that's why they made Duncan so callous towards his niece, to give a kind of a balance. Because Theo is the exact opposite.
He cannot let go of Duncan and his knees. You can't let go of this.
No, I'm just saying. Check out the show. That's what you gotta do.
It's all good. It's all good. But it was a pretty brutal death, considering.
Oh my God! They kept cutting to his neck, and it was going deeper and deeper. And I was like,
and the thing I complained about last week was every time they kill one of the killers, it's always a quick death. Meanwhile, they're murdering everyone in terrible ways. It's good to see one of these guys agonize. Not that I like agony, but it's good to see one of them just get a really bad death scene and just
Well,
see his death.
We saw the box. I mean, that was something we didn't really get to see, but that was still really that was visually very creepy in itself. But here's a different side of it. Here's something gory. It's kind of almost like a Walking Dead zombie kill, like one of the really good kills of the week from The Walking Dead. That's what it reminded me of. Really crucial.
Daisy gets away too. She Theo lets her go and she hitchhikes.
Theo lets her go too. And you know what? That was a very, to me, I'm just going to say, because I know you guys haven't brought it up yet, that was a very Emma-like moment to me.
It was just her
getting
jacket.
away.
I knew what you're talking about.
It was just the jacket.
I think you're searching for Emma.
No,
Every
it was
time
a
there's
very.
girl, he's like, Emma, is it you? Oh, okay.
Daisy is my replacement for Emma. Rest in peace. Rest in peace. I love Daisy. Sorry, I got it.
Okay, but question. So they go to see Duncan in the jail cell, and they're like, who was his best student? He doesn't say who it is, but does he cooperate? Does he tell them anything?
With Joe Carroll?
We don't see that.
He doesn't know the name.
He doesn't know the name, so he's not just hiding. He just truly doesn't know.
With Duncan.
Yeah, and he does reveal. He says he was his best student.
But he's a ghost.
But
he's a ghost, and that's why I guess that's why Duncan doesn't know, because he's so good. He doesn't even reveal himself to the other students.
I could have sworn he'd be Joe Carroll. I could have sworn Joe Carroll would be his best student.
Well, we all thought that. Well,
See, but Joe Carroll is the one who Dr. Strauss talks about being in the light. He likes to go into the sunlight. He likes to show
he's not the shark who stays underneath.
Exactly.
Interesting.
He likes the stars.
Well, look, I mean, right now, Strauss is dead. Daisy is on the run. We don't know where she is. And Ryan figured out at least that Daisy didn't kill Strauss because Daisy doesn't have the upper body strength to do that brutal kill. And Mark they're not on the hunt for Mark right now. Who knows where Mark is? So they pretty much have a dead end in Beacon. And Duncan's in custody, but he's not saying anything. So that returns us back to where we started, which was Ryan gets to go back to see Joe Carroll because he's got another dead end. He doesn't know where he is. And Joe Carroll did help him get to Beacon. In a way, he did give him enough of a lead that Ryan was able to figure this out.
So came back.
You kept your promise.
He came back for me.
You do love me.
Darling.
I think Ryan wants to go back. I think that's the thing that he's dealing with. I feel like he wants to go back.
I can't quit you.
Yeah, I think
See, that's why he vomited.
Placed.
He got to taste that Joe Carroll drug again in his system.
Yeah,
He's an addict. I
think he really I think he would literally go there every week. If it goes that way, he would go there every week and see him.
But we see Ryan ask the same question to Joe Carroll that he asked Duncan, and we didn't see an answer yet from Joe Carroll. But what do you guys think? Because I think Joe Carroll's such an egotist. I don't think he wants to think that there's a better student than him.
Yeah, I don't see him answering that question fairly.
I think he knows who it is, but he's always been upset about it. I think he already knew.
Maybe he wants him to get caught. Sorry.
Maybe.
The way his eyes squinted, he was kind of like perplexed, like, what? There's a better student than me?
Yeah, it was a little bit of that. I mean, there's so much you could tell in the look. I mean, because, of course, it's James Purefoy playing this character. It's amazing. But, there's so much you can tell from the look. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm really curious to see what happens when that goes about. So, that pretty much wraps up everything that we talked about. Wait.
Something else?
At the end, Mike goes to Max's house, and Tom is watching.
Let's take that briefly, because we kind of glossed over Tom. He still has the Max cam. I call it the Max cam.
Creepy.
He's going full stalker mode.
He's been watching her day and night. He's doing an FBI stakeout just on Max.
Yeah, I mean, at least go home and look at it. Why you have to be in your car?
And Max apologized to him, not for that, of course, but Max apologized to him when they had that one scene, and that was the perfect opportunity for Tom to really maybe dig deeper. But Tom was like, "Oh, okay, is that it?"
I think he wants her to admit it. I think that's what he's waiting for. He's looking at her, he's like, "Tell me. I want you to tell me."
But the longer he waits and stares at that laptop, the creepier this whole, and the worse that it really gets.
I think it signifies that if she admits it to him, then they can move forward together. But if he brings it up, then she's the type that she could do it again. She's not trustworthy.
Well, now
and
that
Tom's
he knows,
a puppet dog.
But now that he knows that Mike did the execution and Max covered up, I don't trust him.
That's creepy because he got more information now. I at first I thought when Mike went to visit Max and she kicked him out, I was like, oh, he should be watching this, and then he knows at least that they're done. And he turns out he was watching, and he replayed that little line about the covering up his execution.
Yeah, so now he has all this dirt on Mike.
Yeah,
and
Max. He wants Max all to himself, so he's just going to use this info against Mike.
Well, we'll figure out. When we get to we'll get to predictions in a minute. We'll figure that out. That's definitely a good question to ask for predictions. But let's do a little bit of news and gossip first.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Okay, and Sean, take it away.
So we had a bunch of our awesome fans on YouTube commenting at us. Daniela Graff, she said, "What a pity you couldn't tell your cute story that you sometimes kick your home door in." And she was referring to Pegah.
Oh, yes. I have an obsession with kicking doors down.
Oh, is this from another show? I don't remember hearing that.
Yeah, no, it's from my Forever show. But anyway, sometimes I'm home alone and I'll kick down a door and I'll pretend like I'm FBI. But yeah, she caught on onto that. So hi, Daniela.
So if you go around her neighborhood and you see a door with like footprints all over it, it's Pegah's house. Yeah.
Boot prints.
Boot prints.
We also had Sue's 55. She said, I do not trust Tom. He could have at least warned Max that Kyle and Daisy were watching her. Ellipse. Protecting her should be priority, right? Seriously. And he's still watching her, still being a creepo this episode.
Boy.
She slept with someone behind his back. I don't think he's thinking logically.
No, he's not. He's not. But hey, what can you do, right?
Yeah.
And also Daniela Graff, she also mentioned the Funny and Die spoof for the following.
Is she the one who told you about that?
I actually saw it on the one of our fans from Instagram. He actually he posted it. I checked it out. I tweeted it out to everybody. It's super hilarious. Look on YouTube. Search Funny and Die the following, and it is just hilarious. Watch up until the 2-minute 19 mark. Other than that, the rest is not so good.
We'll put in we'll post it up in the links or in the comments on YouTube after the show.
It's pretty awesome.
It's great. It's just so
awesome,
playful to see Joe Carroll standing at the phone, taking it up.
Oh, yeah.
And there's just so many other prisoners behind him. It's hilarious, man. Like, I don't want to give too much away because I was literally laughing my ass off for the 2 minutes.
Well, what's great about it is, first of all, this is not a funny. I don't think this is a funny or die. This is something that Marcus Siega, one of the executive producers, St. John's grad, by the way, fellow St. John's grad, created. And I can't remember who the writer is right now. I don't have the notes in front of me. But what's awesome about it too is it has James Purefoy. Obviously, you talked about that. It's got Kevin Bacon, and it's got Sam Underwood, which is awesome because we hadn't seen any of him this week. But then it's also got Dean Winters, who I love him. He was in what was the insurance company he did? He was Mayhem.
It was Allstate, I think.
Was it Allstate? Yeah. He was Mayhem and Allstate, and one of my favorite characters from Rescue Me was Dennis Leary's brother from Rescue Me, and he was also on 30 Rock. He's done tons of stuff. He's on Battle Creek right now.
He was in Oz in the 90s.
And then the guy you don't know, Michael C. Hall from Dexter, because you don't watch Dexter, he was on it too.
Michael C. Hall is.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
And then Kevin Bacon's wife, Kara Sedgwick's in it too. So it's like a really good clip.
All the actors make fun of themselves.
Yes.
They have such great jokes.
Really well too. Really well done. Thank you, Daniela Graff, and thank you to the person who sent that on Instagram so we could see that.
We also had Slade the Deathstroke. He said Kyle and Daisy being Strauss's...
Slade the Deathstroke. Shout out to him.
Yeah, Kyle and Daisy being Strauss's students meant that they were thought to be serial killers, not attending students. So he just recruited them, just like we got to see with Theo this episode. So Slade the Deathstroke. Fair
enough.
Sounds like you were right.
Fair enough, yeah.
And we had Manto Kretsch. I don't know how to pronounce your name.
I think he likes to be called Mark. Or not like to, but I think he's like, you can call me Mark. I think if I remember correctly, you can yell at me, man, if you can later.
And he directed this to you. Nando, how dare you? Daisy is my Emma. No one can replace Emma.
We got competition now. Here we go.
Man, we all fall in and out of love. I'm sorry. It happens. It happens. She's a serial killer. She was going to kill me anyway. At least Daisy will give me a little more life for a little while.
Room on the Max train.
Thank you, everybody, for tweeting and commenting. And we didn't do iTunes shoutouts, but we'll do that next week. But please, comment on iTunes, rate us on iTunes. Let us move on to predictions.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's a quick one.
That's one we use every now and then. I like
And now we're wasting more time.
I like that one better. So let's talk about this. So, all right, let's talk about Tom. What do you think Tom's going to do with this information?
Tom.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not sure. I think he's just going to end up going mad.
Okay.
And he's going to get into a fight with Mike over Max.
Okay, great.
I don't have any predictions.
Okay, what do you think about Joe Carroll? Do you think
Joe Carroll is going to help out as much as he can because he values his relationship with Ryan and he wants him to visit.
And what do you think about Theo?
Joe
or Joe Carroll?
Okay, Joe Carroll he's not going to get executed. I mean, he's supposed to get executed in 7 days in the next episode. That's what it says. He's not going to get executed.
Spoiler alert. We're going to talk a little bit about.
Oh, sorry about that.
Next. No, it's okay. It happens. Go ahead. But I just wanted to give that warning in case we say anything else because we're going to say something else.
All right.
Joe Carroll.
I don't think he'll get executed. I think they're going to find a way to extend it.
I think they're going to get him out of there.
Yeah, I think they could get him out of there, or each episode is going to be set 1 day for the next 7 episodes.
Very 24 hours-ish.
That's what happened now.
Done.
Am I right?
Done.
24.
I think that I definitely agree with you. That Joe Carroll's gonna stay alive.
Yeah.
And what was I gonna say? Oh, we see Duncan, so definitely Duncan and Theo team up. That's gonna be really, really interesting.
Bust him
I think Tom's just gonna screw things up with Max and Mike and get them both in trouble. And I think we're gonna get a new head next week to replace Gina. It's very 24-like. You lose the first head, and then halfway in the season you get a new head, and they end up causing more trouble. Thank you very much for tuning in to this edition of the following after show here on AfterBuzz. Hello, panel. Where can we find you during the week before the next episode?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Sean Austin O.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Pegah Rad.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Micheal_Drew, Michael EAL.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Nando Vel, Nandovel. And you can find us all here on various AfterBuzz shows. We got 97 AfterBuzz shows, your favorite TV shows. You can comment and rate to all of them. Thank you so much. Tune in next week for another edition of the following after show. Goodbye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.